Welcome to On the Edge with April Mahoney Brains. Here, this is the spot where the conversation is pointed, the guests are sharp, and the responses are never dull. Welcome home, Brains. There's only one requirement to hang out on the edge, is that you open your big brain and close your small mind. Did you bring your thinking caps? It's time to put them on, because the conversation starts now. Welcome to On the Edge with April Mahoney Brains. You are at the spot, the location, the place where the conversation is pointed, the guests are sharp, and the responses are never dull. Today we are visiting with Jennifer Licciardi. We're going to talk to her about exploring our feminine energy at a deeper level. A lot of women right now are jockeying for position. Okay. We're in the lead, but still, we're chasing other folks' tail. We need to really maximize this time in history. We need to pull on that, and we need to be very strategic about what we do. Now, Jennifer is a top 1% award-winning sales trainer, best-selling author, manifestation expert, and empowerment coach. How many hats is she wearing? But at the core, she is a beautiful soul and a beautiful human being. And she's going to teach you with some great tips on how to level out, how to balance out, and be the best person that we can be. How are you, Jennifer?
Wonderful. Thank you so much for having me today, April. And thank you, Brains, for allowing me to come into your homes for this as well.
I know. Well, it seems like I was drinking. It took me 3 times to get that last name right, but I finally did. And I thank you so much for your patience, wisdom, understanding, and what you're pouring into other individuals on the planet. Tell us a little bit about how you show up in the world.
Yeah. So today I am an empowerment coach where I help women to play big, to be irresistibly magnetic online, and to explode their sales.
Mm.
It's a combination of embodiment. I've created the iconic woman because I've become her. I've become the iconic woman, where I've learned it's a combination of being in your feminine energy, embodying that, with also being able to sell, with being able to take all the steps necessary in business. You can do it from a feminine flow state.
Okay, so now let's delve a little deeper from a feminine. What do you mean by feminine? And the reason why I say that is because the world is very different now. We've got
Yeah.
non-binary, we've got transgender, we've got
Yeah.
gays, we've got lesbian. What do we identify as the feminine outside of the uterus and the vagina? I mean,
Yes. So men and women all have this divine feminine energy, so it's divine feminine, divine masculine. So the divine masculine is the part of each person who pushes, who makes things happen. It's so much of what I grew up in, what most of you probably grew up in, having to be the best, having to be the high achiever, all of that. Whereas when you come from the divine feminine, your feminine power, female power, that's where you can move in a flow state, where you can trust yourself and take the right aligned action and create from this state. And this is the state where it's so easy to manifest a life that you truly desire, because you get into this flow and things just show up when you learn to follow your intuition and trust the guidance and trust the signs that are showing up every day.
now I took a few notes here because, again, I just want to, condense it or expand
Yep.
it so people think about it. Because when you think of the masculine energy, you think of the hunter, the gatherer, the strong, the aggressive, the male dominant, the testosterone. But when you think of the divine feminine, I think of the compassion, the softness, the flexibility, the nurturing, the nature. And I believe that that is so important because that is the balancing agent. That is why we are the givers of life. That is why it is our nature to be this way. So to bring that into a dominant space can also be the equalizer. So many women I see now in high profile positions feel that they have to take on that dominant position and leave their masculine at the door. I'm sorry, I said that backwards. They want to live in their masculine, but leave their feminine at the door. And there's a duality there. That's why there are two. There's a give and a take. So I totally understand what you're saying, but positioning ourselves in this quote unquote new world, 5G, the new normal, um, everything is changing. It's going so fast. Artificial intelligence, global warming, political climate, our sexuality, our ability to choose, our seat at the table, diversity, equity, and inclusion. When you work with your clients and you lay all of this out, it's a smorgasbord of options. How do they begin to choose? How do we pull back the layer to really identify with who we are meant to be?
That is a wonderful question. And I love how you expressed with females, you know, being nurturers and what we're here for too. I connect with who I work with and I want them to be who they truly are. So it's about not creating mini me's. It's about coming into who you are at your core, at your heart.
Mm.
When you connect at a heart level, and the way to do this is to get out of your head's brains. Being able to, and a sign that you're in your head is that you can't stop thinking about something. You start obsessing over it. And it just is playing on repeat over and over again. But when you can get into a heart space and be focused on the now moment, focused on being fully present, it gets you out of your head, it connects you to your heart. And when you're in a heart space, you can trust yourself. You feel secure. You're able to move, and that's the flow. And yes, it's a combination, I believe, of harmony between, divine masculine, divine feminine. And when you have that ideal balance for you, everything starts to flow. The clarity comes, all of this. But I spent so long in masculine energy in corporate, like you were saying, April, trying to compete, thinking that I can't do it my way. Like I have to be like these other people. And I've learned in business and entrepreneurship, no, like it's about connecting to who I am at that deep level. And when I really stepped into that, trusted my intuition, that was how I birthed the iconic woman. That's how I stepped into what was for me. And the confusion stopped, the clarity came, and I felt that peace.
But again, confusion can also stir up because they need to work with a dedicated professional such as yourself. A lot of times, when people
Yeah.
shift into the heart space, male or female, they perceive themselves or others perceive them as being soft and vulnerable and mushy, and an emotional roller coaster, an empath. I mean, I could give you a million different adjectives, but also being strong because the heart pumps the blood all day long to every organ, to every vessel of the body, nonstop, without pause, um, and with a cause. So finding that core, finding that deep rhythm, that pace, that synchronicity is huge. And it takes a lot of work and a lot of dedication, especially in the sales. We're going to talk about sales because, girl, I do sales for sport. I love it. And you're in the top 1%. You're an award winner. A lot of people have it confused. They think sales is sleazy. Brains, let me hip you to something. Sales is psychology. Sales is sexy. Sales is savvy. Sales is smart because you sell to value. I'm just not going to try to sell you a pen. This is the best Sharpie on the planet. It can do a myriad of things. You know, the color, the size, the shape, the smell, how it fits in your hand. Is this something that you need? If it's not, I can sell you another Sharpie, a different color. You have to be able to listen to what an individual needs and wants and tailor that to that design. Tell us a little bit about your sales strategy and how you got in the top 1%.
I worked for several of the largest medical sales companies in the world,
Mm,
and I was a workaholic, people pleaser, perfectionist. I just I really didn't know how to take care of myself for a long time. I focused on what everyone else wanted, what I thought I had to be, who I thought I had to be. But I was in it for the right reasons. I was in the hospitals because I wanted to give them and the patients the best experiences, the best products. I cared about patient safety, and the healthcare workers were protected, all of it. So I came from a place of taking care of others and of service at my own expense because I wasn't taking care of myself. Because someone would need something, I'm doing these huge hospital projects after I sell it in, and I wasn't going to do that. I wasn't taking care of me. It was, oh, there's a crisis that's way more important than I am. This hospital matters more than I do. And that's the way I lived for a long time. But I also am very driven. I got a double dose of drive from both my parents. Any high achievers on here, brains?
oh, yeah.
I
Oh, yeah.
definitely have,
That's an
yeah.
extra shot. I mean, that's
Yeah.
an extra shot of adrenaline because you have,
But
it's not like you're competing, but you are competing because you want to say, hey,
yeah,
look, let me show you what I can do. You know,
yeah.
I've got a stepson that swears that he is my husband's equal, his father.
Mhm.
And I try to tell him there's no competition here. You know, of course you want your children to do better than what you've done, but
Yeah.
that's an extra layer of stress. You've got to find yourself in all of this. I mean, you might have wanted to be a florist, you know, but you had that drive. Do you have siblings? Do you have brothers and sisters?
I do have a brother who's 2.5 years younger, and he took his own path. He does his own business for himself. And when I was growing up, I just thought you go to college. Like I didn't even know there were other options, being
Mm-hmm.
the oldest. And that was the path I took in business, uh, getting a business degree, and then going into a corporate job. I just didn't even know that I had other options.
And you know what?
And
Money is a
yeah,
motivator. Money is a
yes.
motivator. If you're making that big cheese, you know, you're like, because now there's a certain standard of living, there's a certain stature, there's a certain gravitas. When you go into a restaurant, you know, you don't have to look at the bill, you just lay down your black card. You know, so that's a mind screw too, because you have to say, okay, am I willing to adjust? Am I willing to maybe dial down? Do I really need all these existential things? Do I need the next shiny new object? And finding yourself in all of that. So when you came to the realization, Jennifer, that this is really not, you know, meeting me where I feel comfortable, what did that feel like? And what was that turnaround like for you?
That was that was tough. I started feeling like I can't continue to do this. Like
Mm.
this is all I know, but the thought of still being here, and I was in my 40s. Like the thought of still being here till I retire.
You were in your 40s. You're not more than 42, 43 right now. I wouldn't believe it.
I'm 46.
Wow.
Yeah, I've been blessed.
Yes, you have.
So Thank you very much. Yeah, I trusted, but when I had what I call my spiritual awakening, I just decided I wanted more meaning in my life. Beginning of 2022, that was when I realized, oh, I don't want to be doing what I'm doing.
Mm,
And I'd had wake up calls before. I had more than one manager make up fake customer complaints about me. And I was a top performer. It was heartbreaking. It was like, how does this happen? Like,
right.
but I'm doing
Me?
all of this.
Right.
I've dedicated my whole life here. How does this happen when someone comes in and all these other people who would have supported me were retiring and leaving, and it was just didn't have anybody looking out for me? And it was a gift. I took a leave of absence. I had some time off back in 2019, and I trusted that this was a gift that I got to figure out more who I was, what I wanted. And I went back one more time to another corporate medical sales job because I didn't know anything else.
Right.
And I was grateful to be moved to a different manager when the same situation was happening. But I put my arms up in the air during COVID and I'm like, I don't care. Like, whatever happens, happens. I'm not going to be treated like this again. And then I had an amazing manager for a couple of years. He got let go. It was back to the same behavior again. And I'm like, I'm not putting up with narcissistic abuse again. I'm done. I got the green light to leave. And I just trust and intuitive. I heard the guidance and I'm like, all right, I'm leaving today. And I just said, that's it. And
What
right
did you
then and
do? Did you
there,
go off to a yoga retreat in Bali? What did what did what
no,
did you do?
I started life coaching, like a paid life coaching. I was life coaching before that for that last like year and a half. But now all of a sudden I'm like, nope, I'm gonna be paid to life coach. And I created a business, Jennifer Heart Healer, starting to do
Wow.
that back then. And I started to get a couple of clients right away. But it's never that easy, right, brains? Like you
Hmm.
make a choice, you think, oh, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do here. And then it's going to flow, everything's going to be amazing. And I realized, oh, I have a journey to go on. I have to figure out who I am now that I'm not this corporate woman. And it was, and I jumped very quickly. But when you're doing it 24/7, not going back to a corporate job, it doesn't feel like it's as fast as it is.
Right. But you've had amazing success,
Thank you.
thus far. So tell us about one of your success stories with one of your clients.
Yeah. I was working with a woman who came to me who had some challenges from 20 plus years ago. It all usually stems back to your parents and growing up. And her father would take money from her. So there were abundance issues and a lot of lack and not feeling comfortable having it. So we moved through all of that and we navigated through you getting her to a point where she realized, like in her marriage, even that it was being affected. It was always that high achiever, never good enough, never enough. And she was feeling like never enough. So, in the end, the results were she let go of her money struggles, was able to bring in, you know, 10 more clients that very quickly and things just started flowing in her life. Her marriage got better because it was a product of it. She stopped putting so much pressure on her husband and things moved forward beautifully.
Well, that's a template. Let's talk about something else that you're gifted at, and I'm gifted at. It's manifestation.
Yes.
All right, brains, let's have a conversation here. Manifestation is more than a magazine cutout of words and pictures taped to a cotton picking poster board.
Yep.
That's a wish list. And I'm just keeping it real. You know, if you seen my manifestation board, you would wonder, what is that? I've got stop signs, I've got obstacles, I've got my successes, I've got my challenges, I've got my goals. It is a blueprint for success. and I look at it and I focus on certain areas at certain times. I look at my gifts. I ask the universe to bring me the highest and greatest good. I ask that every day. What else is possible? How can it get any better than this? I tap into my subconscious mind. I use mudras. I have mantras. It's work to manifest, brains. I'll tell you a quick story. I was broke as a joke. I wrote myself a check for $5,000. 6, 7 months later, I got a check in the mail for $46,000 from a company that I had not worked for 20 years. 20 years. Somebody was smart enough to file a class action suit, and I was the benefactor of that. But believe and trust, I did the work because I planted the seed. What are some of your suggestions and some of the things that you have done as a manifester, Jennifer?
I love this conversation here. It just lights me up. I manifested a whole new life
Mm,
so quickly within 7 months. I mean, I left my corporate job, and then I started my business, became a speaker, published author at the time. And if that wasn't enough, I moved across the country. I moved across the country to step into my destiny. And when I did that, I'd seen signs for a year to move to Dallas, Texas. And every day, Texas signs all over. This is manifesting, feeling that you're already there, trusting,
yes,
but being so aware of what is going on in the present moment. I was so connected that I was seeing all the signs and guidance,
yes,
and I felt like
yes,
I was already living there. So I knew it was a matter of time. But the action I had to take was big and not for the faint of heart. So it was okay, your house is going to sell in less than 2 weeks. And this is during sky high mortgage interest rates. I was in California in Northern, and all of a sudden, yeah, I'm like hearing hire this realtor who I knew through friends for quite a few years. Yeah, she was the best, and I did. And then we put the house on the market. I listened to her suggestions to get it to sell really quickly. And she believed too it could sell that fast. And she was kind of like a spiritual guide coming in to help me at the same time. And I didn't listen to other people. And my parents were like, "Whoa, Jen, like it's sky high mortgage interest rates." I'm like, "It's going to sell." They're like, "I know you're going to get to Texas because you've seen signs, like we know. But why now? You're building a business, you're doing all this other stuff." And like, I'm just going. Picked up with my little dog. The house sold, but before it did, I flew out to Dallas. I had reached out. It was the same builder as who I had in California. Like, what are the odds? I Googled this massive, massive area where I live. I end up in the right development, get on the phone with someone who works there, who is from California. He's like, "There's one house available, but it was bigger." And I'm like, "Okay, God spirit, you want me to go bigger?" Okay, this is kind of scary. How do you want me to do this? Put every penny in the house that's sold, and then you're going to have to pay the rest. I'm like, "Oh my gosh, seriously, you're going to have me do this?" And I did. It was all trust. Like buying my car was the practice round. I'm like, "Oh geez, that was earlier in the year when I left my corporate job and my company car." But it's taking action, brains. Like it's taking the right aligned action, trusting and following your intuition to do that. It's not just taking action for the sake of taking action. It's
right,
also coming from a place where you're not attached to your outcome.
right.
I wasn't attached. Well, if that house doesn't work, it's okay. I'm going to end up at the right place. It's going to work out.
Mhm,
And yet they both closed on the same day.
mm.
Like, what are the odds? On a bank holiday, both went through right before the cutoff. It was done. And I was just so grateful. But it was so much trust, so much faith. And then I had to take the steps to make it happen at the same time.
And fear um, is also a warning sign. It is boundaries.
Yeah.
Everyone can't be a risk taker at a certain time. but you cannot progress if you don't put one foot in front of the other. Sometimes putting that foot side by side. Sometimes you got to bob and weave. Sometimes you're going to get a setback, but being accountable and being responsible and answering to the call, taking responsibility for your actions and ownership. You can't blame other people. It is your life, it is your soul contract, it is your destiny. And so you have to decide when is the right time, be it a dysfunctional relationship, getting off drugs, alcohol, and cigarettes. Maybe you got a sex addiction. Maybe you are introverted and now it's time for you to step out in the world. You know, you have to be able to look at yourself in the mirror and say, am I ready to get rid of things that no longer serve me? Am I really ready for this next chapter in my life? Am I ready for the highest and greatest good? Because that's not for chumps. Right, Jennifer? You can't just ask for
Right.
things and just say, oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's like people that win the lottery. Okay, give me $10 million. And then they're broke as a joke. They don't know how to invest. They don't know how to
Yeah.
make that money work for them. They want to give it to everybody. They don't pay their taxes. There's consequences. Okay?
Mm.
There are consequences. Were there some challenges and some adversity that you faced as well?
Oh, yes. I mean, when I moved out here, I had to mourn my old self. All of a sudden, I'm out here. I'm on my own with my little dog, and I'm spending Thanksgiving unpacking boxes. I just moved that week, and I was all of a sudden like just starting again. As exciting as it was, I still had to go through some of that grieving process. I was also changing who I was working with coach wise at the same time.
Hmm.
So there was a lot going on with that. Everything was new for me. There wasn't any constant other than that I had my little dog still. And yeah, I was grateful though at the same time for having this beautiful house to live in and for stepping into this huge identity, but I wasn't her yet. And I had to take the steps to embody her. And I bet really big on myself. I worked with some phenomenal coaches who have helped me move very quickly and have shown me it's a ripple effect, how to get my clients to move, really quickly too.
What
And I
did
do
you
the
do?
work every day.
What did you do when you were looking for a coach? Number one. And number two, what are some of the skill sets that they have that you mirror and mimic in
Yeah.
your coaching program?
I love that. I have had amazing experience working with a couple of my coaches, and I we connected back in Gabby Bernstein's manifestation challenge. I didn't even know what manifestation was
Mm,
until beginning of 22. This is how fast things can move brains when you are in that mode to just
and that
listen,
flow.
follow your intuition and go. But I would follow, and all of a sudden I mean, it took a while. It took until December of 23 for me to see posts up about the coaching programs. I would just see the personal stuff more. And I jumped. I was like, oh, this is it. It's time. And I just knew. And I followed and I've been in a number of programs. And I just joined one, taking that next up level to do 30K months.
Mm.
The same coaches, and then a third one who I've worked with some, they all work together. So it's beautiful.
So the coaching process, okay, there's an
Mhm.
intake, brains, that I would suggest that you follow when you are looking to work with someone that is going to hold your destiny in the palm of your hands. I want to see what I need exuding out of their pores. I'm going to tell you, when I'm paying that kind of money, I want to see accountability. I want a 360. In increvolts, I want to see some results. I want some testimonials. I don't want a girlfriend relationship. I could get therapy for that. I could get talk therapy for that. I need somebody that is going to be with it, that is going to be in alignment with me. I need somebody that encourages me to go bigger and better than what they did. Okay. I don't want to be at your level. I want to surpass you. There's nothing wrong with that. Look at my stepson. He wants to surpass his dad. That's that ambition. That's the drive. You may not be in that corporate setting, but you still have that mindset. You still have that mastery. You still want that manifestation of greatness. So don't get it confused. You still take what you have and transfer that over into something else. But if you're paying someone or working with someone, even a mentor, I've been very fortunate. I haven't had any coaches per se, but I've had some hell of a mentors. People that, and older women, women diverse, not black women, Asian women, Jewish women, white women, a couple men that have really mentored me because I was open to it and I listened. It's a different skill set to hear someone, but also listen and take the best of what they have. So now you have all of this in your toolbox and you're pouring it in to your clients. What do they have to look forward to, Jennifer, when they work with you?
Yeah, getting them results quickly,
Mm.
being able to embody your next version of yourself. So, and you mentioned 360 degrees. In the Iconic Woman, I start you out with a 90-minute session to do a 360-degree overview
Wow.
of what's working in your life and what's not.
Mm.
So there's so much value in all of this, really being able to sell with heart as well, being able to get clarity on your voice and vision, being highly intuitive, but I want you to connect with you. And it's trusting who you are, being able to lead and know so that when you're after that 9 weeks, your dream clients are flooding in. You are able to lead yourself. You're feeling more peace being embodied in your next version instead of in that in between space that brains, like, let's face it,
Right.
that is not a fun place to be.
Sitting idle. And another thing that I want to suggest is that women in business learn to make the ask and learn to close the deal. You are not making any money and you are not successful if you're not getting paid. What does that
Yeah.
payment look like? Sometimes it's not cash. Sometimes it's access. Sometimes it's resources. Sometimes it's connections. That closing on the deal is a win-win. And don't let other people determine your win-win. They try to use that big term. Oh, it's going to be a win-win. You don't determine what my win is. I determine. That is where the negotiation comes in. You have to have negotiation skills. There's a lot to being a savvy salesperson, not a sleazy salesperson. This is a quick story that I have. I know I was looking for a car. And I wasn't going to buy no Mercedes Benz, but I wanted to feel bougie, girl. I wanted to go up in there and let my afro blow in the wind and see what I was doing. I got in the car. The salesman got in the car. He didn't say much. He says, he turns on the music. We're going down. He says, let's go a little further. We're going down PCH. And my hair is blowing in the wind. He lets the top down. He says, oh, can't you just feel it? Don't you feel good? Aren't you settled in? And I said, yeah. I said, but I'm a little warm. I said, I have a hot flash. He says, oh, Miss April, I've got something for that. Girl, you hit that seat cooler. He sold to value. He sold to what I needed, what I wanted. I said, let's go on back in here and see how we can work these numbers out and write it up. I work with another woman. She would go in and we were selling backup computer storage, and she'd say, okay, watch this. We go in, the company would have a budget, $50,000. And she would say, well, what's your budget? Well, they want to lowball you. They say, oh, well, we can do it at 30, 35. And she'd say, up to, and there'd be this deafening silence. And I say, up to what? They couldn't stand the silence. Well, maybe we could go up to 48.9. There we are. We almost got the 50. Again, it is the skill of listening. understanding the art of the deal, to coin a phrase. But it's again closing, it's making that movement. So you've gotten all of this skill set, you've made this move, you're manifesting, you're coaching, but you're also writing. Tell us a little bit about the book and read us a little excerpt from the book.
I'm so excited to share it. This is Radical Freedom, and it is a #1 international best-selling. And this just came out
Let's see it.
recently,
I want to see it, girl.
right
Look at
here,
that.
by
Oh.
creative genius Jess Hughes. It's the third one in her creative series. And when I was asked to be a part of it, I just knew it was a huge hell yes.
Mm.
So this is what radical freedom means to each of us. There are so many amazing authors in here, including Susie Green, who
Mm.
is the last living supreme. She is beautiful inside and out. She wrote a chapter in here. There's so many amazing ones, and they all have gold nuggets to help you move in that freedom direction. So I will read. Right. My chapter is chapter 56, Freedom Opened the Door to a New Beginning. I waited for my knight in shining armor to come and rescue me from my old life. And then I thought I would move to Texas. We had to meet first, right? A job transfer was another thought. Why would I change my life without seeing tangible proof to make this big move? I figured, why would God's Spirit have me move across the country with just my little dog, selling my house and starting over on my own? I believe there would be a bigger reason than me alone to make this monumental life changing move. It turns out I was just about to learn what radical freedom meant. God's Spirit helped me realize that this was all about me. This was my journey, and that I was going to change my entire life on my own without seeing the end result.
You know, we live by faith and not by sight.
Right.
We live moment by moment. We exist moment by moment. There's somebody that was breathing a few minutes ago, and unfortunately, they passed away. There's someone that is in the birth canal right now that's ready to be delivered. So take a breath, breathe, enjoy the view, enjoy life. Let me ask you some fun questions because I love that. What's your little dog's name?
Chloe,
Chloe.
yes,
What kind of dog is she?
she's a multi-poo. She's right here.
Let me see her.
Let's say hi. She's like, you woke me up, Mom.
Look at her. Hi, beautiful.
Yeah, she's 14 now. I've had her since she was 8 weeks old.
Oh, look at that. She is just, look at her little hands, are just as cute. Um, what do you find the most rewarding about being a pet parent?
Uh, just that beautiful love, just having her snuggle up next to me on the sofa, just seeing her cute little face in the morning, taking her for a walk. It's just unconditional love.
It is unconditional love, and they're so smart and intuitive. If
Thank
you were
you.
an animal, what
Ooh,
animal would you be and why?
animal would I be and why? Wow. Ah, that is such a good question. I would be maybe a horse, though I could run free
Mm.
and just be out in nature, in the fields, and just enjoy life.
I've had a lot of people connect with horses. I've had a few other guests that do horse therapy because of the intuitiveness of the horse and the way that they communicate. I'd be an elephant. They're big, they're majestic, they travel in
Oh,
prides, they're good
I love
parents,
that.
um, and they never forget. They never
No, they
forget.
don't.
No,
I
I
love
absolutely
that.
love it. If you were an appliance in the kitchen, Jennifer, what appliance would you be?
Ooh, these are fun. Ah, I'd be okay. I guess I'd be a stove. Well, I'd be the oven. So I
Oven?
could, because I get cold easily when it's not summer in Texas, but like in the winter.
Yeah.
So I would be, yeah, so I wouldn't be cold. I could just heat myself up.
I'd be the air fryer. Because
Mhm.
it's modern, it's crispy, it's clean, it's low calories. I think I'd be the air fryer. If you could time travel, go back to the past, stay here in the present, or project to the future, where would you land?
Oh, I don't want to go back to the past. I would jump in the future and see what ends up happening.
Yeah. In our galaxy, what planet do you align with the most?
Venus.
Venus, okay, a goddess, feminine
Hmm.
energy. Yeah,
Yes.
I'm Saturn. I want all the rings, the
You
colors,
and all
the
the
energy.
rings. I love that.
I am definitely Saturn. If you were a car, what kind of car would you be?
Oh, I would be a Porsche.
Ooh, slick,
Yeah.
slick, low to the ground. Two-seater or four-seater? I've been seeing that new four-seater Porsche. I told my husband I wanted to go drive it. He said, "Don't go drive it like you drove that last one and come home with it."
I would be a four-seater, and this is one of my signs. And it's so crazy. Like I will see them in the most interesting places. Even on the airplane, I saw like on the flight recently to the Hawaii retreat, I'm like, oh, there's my Porsche there. Like I just
Mm.
open my eyes at one scene at that right moment in a movie, and there it is. Or in the shift, we were watching the shift at the retreat, and there the Porsche was. I see them in person all the time, but I was inside all day for those. And I'm like, oh, there it is.
There's the manifestation. There's the sign again.
Yeah,
It's the
yeah,
absolute sign. You never know. You never know.
yeah.
Um, and in closing, Jennifer, what do you want your legacy to be? How do you want to be remembered, Queen?
That's beautiful. Yes. I want to leave a lasting impact in the world. I want to transform millions of lives, speaking on stages of tens of thousands, writing many books that are influencing and helping people change and grow. I want that ripple effect. And this huge iconic woman, I know I meant to do something kind of a cross between Gabby Bernstein and Melanie Allaire with like Alpha Femme, and it'll be whatever it is for me with the iconic woman.
Well, I am going to give you flowers now. I know how
Thank
that
you.
feels. I know how it feels to wake up. Um, I had an epiphany the other day. I was telling a few of my guests that I had a meltdown. I was on the table getting a facial, and I just started to cry. And the lady says, "Am I hurting you? What's wrong? What's wrong?" I counted my blessings as I laid there. All
Oh,
of the wonderful things, the people, the places that I've been through. I could taste the joy on my tongue. And I just started to cry. And as I stepped out, I saw a young woman. I saw a young woman sleeping on the pavement. It's 107 degrees outside. I went in my purse and I gave her every single dollar I had. And baby, I had some money in my purse. And she looked at me and she got up on that hot cement with no shoes on her feet. And she praised God and thanked Him that she could go get a shower, that she could go get something to eat. And she looked at me. I wanted to look through me because it wasn't me. I was the vessel.
yeah.
Be the change that you want to be in the world, brains. Be the change. It only takes a minute. Thank you so much for sharing that and being here with me on the edge. Tell my brains how to get in contact with you, Jennifer, so that they can soar like we have.
Yeah, I will drop my links for April. So I have for my website, I have a Linktree link where my YouTube is on, my socials are on, my website's there. And my email is jenniferlicciardi@gmail.com.
Well, brains, we are going to get it in and we are going to elevate our frequency. We're going to tap into that female energy, change that frequency. We're going to write a book. And then we all lucky we're going to be able to race down the street next to Jennifer in her Porsche. Love, like, share, and subscribe because this is where it's happening right here. I'm telling you, there's no joke about it. I've been doing this for 23 years. Okay. And nobody can really compete with that. I'm one of the pioneers of podcasting. So I know what it takes. I know what you're looking for, what you're listening for. Come on, tell a friend. Love, like, share, and subscribe here on The Edge. Thank you so much, Jennifer. You are a rock star, and I am so proud of you.
Thank you so much, April. Thank you, Brains, for watching. Appreciate all of you. Sending you so much love.
Have a good day.